Okay, so at this point, we have, going through, finding how to kill a dragon, doing it, turning it to ash, and creating the hoods. So the hoods were simple. There's a special hiding spell we were given by the Hidden Temple. We just cast that spell on the hood, but we're enchanting the hood, so we need enchanting plates. Usually is the best way to do it. It can be done without it, but it's a weaker enchantment. Anyways, using the enchanting plate that we gathered over time, made, casting the spell on the hood. The opening of the hood that goes around the face, that's where we would spread the dragon ash. That gives the magical imprint of the dragon to blur out the face when the hood is up. Really simple, but extremely useful in scenarios when you don't want your identity to be known to mystic beings while you're walking around. Yes, it'll probably draw curiosity to an average mystic being, but the ones that are your enemy, it's ideal that they don't quite know who you are. So we decided to get familiar with the surrounding areas that we're in. Things that had been, where did the former incarnations come to our area? How did they get here to start setting up items for us, leaving these things in the magical realm so we could go retrieve them? That's really what happened. You remember the box that was left for us in the magical realm, and only on the 27th of every month it would pop out and be available for one whole day, and then we had the option to get it once a month. And this is actually what happens with all of these items that are out there. They're out there. So how did they get out there? We knew it was the former incarnations who worked with this hidden temple, who had their own versions of hoods and things like that, who went out and set this all up for us. Their assumption was that we were going to need help, that we were going to be so aggressively attacked that they wanted us to be ready for this attack, and they were giving us items to do so. So what we did is we went to Horus. Now he's not the easiest to talk to. He talks in sort of Egyptian, not dialect or language, but Egyptian tones or something like that. Like, do not need be here. You know what I mean? It's not quite the same way we flow words, but he says it in English. So no big deal. I would go to talk to him, but the reason why I didn't talk with him well was because he wouldn't talk with me well. In this sense, I'd go and ask a question. He goes, "I not tell you now, you're not ready." So you see, everything was lined out by these people that came before. They would set a letter up that was the introductory letter to us, and it would come to our door and it would say, "You need to go into the woods of the Ocala National Forest at such and such a location, and there's going to be a box waiting for you there on the 27th of every month." So we had to get the letter first, obviously, otherwise we wouldn't know where to go. And one of the things Horus did was he was the record keeper for a lot of these people. A lot of incarnations of the past did things independently of even the hierarchy of the Hidden Temple. But what they would do is they would go to Horus. They would speak to Horus and they'd say to Horus, "Horus, here's what I want you to repeat to the people that are to come, or to us in particularly from a former incarnation," right? And Horus had this ability to, like a photographic memory, he could just remember exactly word for word what was said. So there was no question that the words were going to be passed on to us accurately. And it was secure because you could only get it out of Horus. Someone couldn't steal a letter and say, "Oh, now I know where that item is." A mystic being couldn't get a hold of the letter because it was all in Horus's head. I had to go to him to get that letter, that information. So I wanted to go to Horus and understand a little bit more about the people that had come to Earth, that were on Earth, other former incarnations. And I wanted to understand how they came, where they came from. I found out that they came from England. They were, in the 1950s, 1940s, they flew over or took a boat, something over, and they came in and came down by train into the Ocala train station. Okay, so that was interesting. So, we wanted to see what, the old historic area of Ocala still existed to a degree. Everything changes a bit, but I wanted to see the old train station, see where our people came in, what was it like back then. It was more of a curiosity and just, we needed a day out, So we took, at the time, we had a couple kids home, not at school. They weren't at school today. I believe it was our youngest son and our littlest daughter, the little one. And we just took them, with us, and we just took a drive. So we're down there looking at the train station, really neat, and they have it all kind of set up differently than it originally was, but you can kind of see the original layout. They have fences up just so nobody falls off onto the train tracks, but you know how the exposed train tracks are, right? But you can look at the whole thing, see what it was like. It's really neat. But when we were there, the little guy of ours, and he found a copper tube. Just like the copper tubes I originally had received from the box. Remember the one I had to cut open to get that paper out? It was identical to those. And it had the wax seal on it, and it was covered. And he's over here swinging it around, playing it like it's like a toy or a wand or a sword or something. And he's holding Mom's hand, and she's just looking around. Kids do shit. You don't always see what they're doing, right? They're just having fun. And then I looked up and I go, "Is that?" So I just tapped Mom on the shoulder and I say, "Hey, he has one of the copper tubes. Did you bring it with you?" I mean,